Good evening, everyone. Good afternoon and good morning. I am here to bring you what's happening in the continent. So I will give you a couple of updates instead of just focusing on one news. We will see what's happening in Nigeria, particularly on Dangote's refinery, as we have been following it closely. And also we move to the Eastern African country, Tanzania. There are two events that happened that kind of captivated our attention. So we're going to look at those things. In Tanzania, we'll look at the recently close to completion Magufuli hydroelectric power, and also the Adani Group port deal. We are going, because Tanzania decided to keep Adani Group despite all the fraud alarm. Kenya also has cancelled this Adani Group deal, in which they were about to give them a contract to lease the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. So we're going to look at those things. So to start with, we start first about Dangote. So Dangote is actually, the challenges that that refinery company has been through, or also you can say the owner himself, Aliko Dangote. Here at Connect Africa, we have been bringing you, almost on a daily basis, what's happening, what kind of challenge, ever since he exposed the oil cartels in Nigeria back in April during the Afro-Exim Bank conference in the Caribbean. So ever since then, he has been exposing them, and they have been fighting him from being denied a crude oil in Nigeria to refine. So he was forced to import crude oil. Imagine, Nigeria is one of the largest crude oil producer, and he was denied that because the oil cartels did not want Aliko Dangote to be in the business, because he is going to expose a lot of, and he has been exposing dirty things that are happening. So denying him from crude oil. Also, he was bringing it from outside, and then he was allowed to buy it from Nigeria. When that happened, also he was forced again to do it in foreign currency, and then they allowed him, just because he was consistent and pushing really to buy it. I mean, the transaction, if it was in foreign currency, it could have benefited him anyway. He was allowed to do it in Naira because he wanted to benefit the Nigerian economy. And after that, also his export of oil was countered. After he started to export that refined oil, he also wanted to sell it in the local market. And that was not really easy for Dangote to penetrate, because he's going to share their business now and going to expose again a lot of dirty business. He said that what they are bringing, this refined oil from outside, is actually something that endangers the public health and also the environment. Where Europe and the Western countries are lined up to buy the refined oil of Dangote. Imagine Nigeria keeps on importing refined oil, although Dangote is willing and to supply this refined oil, this petroleum, to the local market. So they did not want him, and then he was allowed again. He just keep on fighting. That man is really like risking his life, and when he was allowed, then there's now the price issue. The price, he is setting it in a price that is below or lower than what the the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation has, and other retailers in the country has it. So now he came up with this. Look, I want to share this with you. Now, when he starts to supply it lower than the national corporation or other retailers, then they are forced to lower it. So here is the headline that they come up with. Look, I will read it for you. Port Port Harcourt refinery, prices of petroleum products will come down. This is really the result of Aliko Dangote's fight. Aliko Dangote fighting for the people of Nigeria on behalf of the people of Nigeria. He could have just continued, selling petroleum and minding his own business, even putting a price that is the same as like them, a higher price. But he's not a looter. He's unlike these oil cartels. Yes, he's rich. Yes, it's his business, but he really wants the economic dynamic of Nigeria, the dependency of oil. It's embarrassing, this oil cartels, what's happening in Nigeria. Everywhere there is a looted oil that is, redirected from the main pipeline of the crude oil, and then set up these illegal refineries that they're gonna bring it back in the jungle, on the river. Recently, we have reported to you also the Nigerian Navy have found hundreds of thousands of looted crude oil and 23 illegal refineries. Can you imagine? They just do it in the jungle and they bring it back to the people, and it's below, it's what they call it in the oil industry, a substandard oil they are bringing to the people. So that's what was happening. But Dangote has a high quality oil, and that's why the West is now buying from him, and other African countries are actually now, they are waking up, and hopefully they are listening what we are talking here, because it was only 3 African countries, like the immediate neighbors of Nigeria, that were buying from Dangote. Now more and more African countries are getting interested. So just let me tell you this: Europe is lined up to import Dangote's oil, but they want to send that substandard. They don't want to buy from them. They take from him, they import from Dangote from Nigeria, and then they keep on insisting exporting their substandard oil back to Nigeria. Can you imagine? With the crude oil that they are taking, they are producing a substandard oil, and they are pushing that to Nigeria's market by, collaborating with these local oil cartels who don't care anything about the public health, except what they want is just to make business and be rich. That is at the expense of the lives of many millions of Nigeria. Nigeria has more than 250 millions of people. It's a huge market. The West do not want to lose it. As we speak, the refinery in Antwerp, in Belgium, and another refinery in Rotterdam in the Netherlands are closing because the Dangote's refinery is nothing to be matched. So they cannot keep up this business. So they are about to close. And I think the Belgium one has already closed. So this is how how qualified, how high quality petroleum Dangote is producing. And this is what he wants to sell to the people of Nigeria in a lower price than what the Nigerian National Oil Petroleum Corporation is setting, and those local little markets and retailers, all of them, they're together looting the people of Nigeria. So now he is saying, let me see if I can share that announcement from Dangote. But first of all, look, this is what the National Nigerian NNPC, they call it. This is what they said. The chief executive officer of Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Authority, Farouk Ahmed, has said the commencement of operations at the Port Harcourt refinery will lead to decrease in prices of petroleum products. And then now he of course connects it, recalls that President Bola Tinubu in 2023 removed the subsidy, and that was why the hike in price. No, you're just looting from the people of Nigeria. That's what you are doing. Actually, what forced you now to bring it down? Because Bola Tinubu still did not remove the subsidy. Now, so what makes you all of a sudden to calm down or to bring it down, the price? It's because Dangote is fighting you, okay? Let me find that announcement if I can. Just a second. Oh. I really wanted to show you, but if I cannot make it, I cannot. I don't know. It should be visible. Why? Okay, I hope you can see it. Yeah, this one. Let me go like this. No. Yeah, okay, a speaker, yeah. So this is an announcement here. Dangote Petroleum Refinery, high quality PMS, or they call it premium motors, PMS, premium motors petrol for your vehicle and engine, and also good for the environment, to buy minimum of 2 million liters. This is for retailers at Naira 970 per liter. And then they have put, for any questions, their email, also to call, they have put 2 direct telephone numbers, and this is what they're. So theirs was actually more than 1,000. It was not, it was higher than what Dangote is offering. Now, this is what actually made the Nigerian and the NNPC, the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, to announce that, to bring down the oil price for the people. This is how you fight for the people. If it was, if Aliko Dangote was one of those greedy businessmen, then he could have just said, oh, let's make it high and continue to make profits. No, he's the richest black man in the world. Mind you, not in Africa, but the richest black man in the world. No one tops him amongst the black wealthy people. He don't need any money. He's doing this for Nigeria because it embarrassed him for Nigeria being the largest crude oil producer, and so far for hundreds of years not being able to refine. Although Nigeria has spent $20 billion building 3 refineries in the country, and building and maintaining, but none of them are operational. Can you imagine? None of them. And this is why the Civil Society Organization of Nigeria last week, in the beginning of last week, has called for transparency and accountability of the whereabouts of that $20 billion. Yes, you might say that, why I keep on talking about Nigeria, because it's what's happening. Because it's Dangote. There are people, the rich people, the business people in Africa should follow the steps of Dangote, fighting for the people. It's not always about the business. It's about also the people. That way people respect you. That way, you can do. That's where actually power lies, the real power. And this is why we care about Dangote and we care about Nigeria. But of course, Nigeria might be, the first example, but there are a lot of similar things that are happening in the continent. So if there is such a thing at such level, in Africa, then I mean that you know in detail from wherever you are, please send us an email and we will follow it. But this one is easier, so because we have been following it from the start, that is why. So all in all, I mean, Dangote is winning. He's putting his life in risk. I mean, he's close to 70 years. He knows, he said that. I mean, I might not live even longer, he said. I am doing this for the people. And for that matter, his children might don't even want any money or so. I mean, what he has already is enough to sustain the generations to come of his line, his bloodline. But he's doing it for once and for all to make a difference in his country. This is what makes you, a powerful businessman or an example business person. That can be an example in the country. He's setting an example. He's setting the bars high for all the African business people, because you really have to match with him, not in terms of wealth, but in terms of how you are doing, how you're caring to the people. That's one. I think let me conclude this with regards to Dangote. Well done. And really, we would like to hear from Nigerians. What do you think of this progress and the continued fighting between Aliko Dangote and versus the oil cartels in the country? So moving on, we will go to Tanzania. In Tanzania, the Magufuli hydroelectric power is close to completion, and now this hydroelectric power is actually was planned, and the building of it started during Magufuli's time. Magufuli is the president that was before now Samia Suluhu, the current president. If you remember, he was a very Pan-African leader, the incarnation of Julius Nyerere of Tanzania, he died during COVID, which was really suspicious, in a suspicious way. Three leaders at that time, heads of states, Africa lost because of COVID. But his Magufuli's days was something like suspicious, because he was really down to earth and he was so committed to transform the economy of Tanzania. Let me just share this. Okay, I think I have it. Okay, yeah, so this is how it looks like. I mean, if you know also, I mean, if any of you familiar with the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, I mean, it looks alike. So every time I see it, like I feel like, oh, this is the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam. But now this is a Magufuli, it's known as Magufuli Dam. So here is what you have to take, okay? This move, the completion of this hydroelectric power will mark a significant step for Tanzania towards the project's full capacity of 2,115 megawatts or 2,000 megawatts, positioning Tanzania as a regional hub in energy production and reliability. Yeah, I mean, I think next to Ethiopia, I would say that the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam will produce almost 6,000 megawatts, and Ethiopia has started also already to export power to Kenya, Djibouti. Tanzania itself is lined up also, is gonna buy from Ethiopia as well. Sudan is buying, and others are looking at anyway. Now, let's not take the spot from Magufuli's dam. NHPP turbine to go live soon as the station's completion nears. Now, so Tanzania's electricity generation is expected to receive a boost soon as the government prepares to activate the fifth turbine. The move will mark a significant step towards this. Did they change it to, because here it says actually Julius Nyerere hydropower project. What we know is it's a Magufuli hydropower project. Maybe it's different anyway. So the move will mark a significant step towards the project's full capacity. So now that will make, Tanzania also one of the regional hub energy production and reliability. It has now this hydroelectric power has already commissioned 4 plants, and according to the Assistant Commissioner for Energy Development at the Ministry of Energy, so the 5th turbine is undergoing final testing and will be operational immediately. So this is really good news for Tanzania. Yeah, I was wondering, because what I know is this was the Magufuli Dam. Unless this is a different one, or they have changed the name. If that is the case, that's not really a good move, because the credit has to be given to the person who have started it. But in any case, this is good. Well done for President Samia Suluhu, that for completing under her, government administration. Whoever started it, it doesn't matter. This kind of national projects should be a generational project. It doesn't matter who started. When the next one comes, even if it's not, through a proper election or whatever, the other one has, even it came through a military coup, they have to complete this kind of national projects, because in Africa there is this trend, maybe in other parts of the world, but I just speak for what I know. When a next government comes, because mostly they come through fighting, and they just destroy everything or dismiss it, at least everything what was started by the former government administration, and then, start to build their own, or just completely throw it away as if it's not going to use the people. So it should be, my point is, this kind of national projects should be owned nationally and should be a generational project, because what comes the next government might stay 1 year, 4 years, we don't know, and it might not, the project might not be finished. But if you teach the people in a way that, they are part of and the owner of this kind of national project, then, the people will be by themselves the guardian of those national projects. Because if the next government comes and try to destroy it or dismiss it, then, the people will be the one who will be speaking, no, you cannot do this. So the government will eventually confront the opposition or protest from the people. So I think this, for the sake of the countries and the nation, this kind of trends has to continue. That's why, although I'm an Ethiopian, and most of you know me from my different presentation from advocating for Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, how it is a Pan-African project, because it's really, for me, it literally powers Ethiopia, it empowers Africa, and it sustains the world, because it's aligned with that sustainability program, and it means really a lot. And for us, I mean, if you ask me, for Ethiopia, because Ethiopia was, because they know, the West knows that Ethiopia, this will make Ethiopia a powerful country, economic. The power is, in the economy. That's where it lies. So, because they know how it transforms Ethiopia, no IMF, no World Bank, no this private creditors, no one wanted to give Ethiopia a loan or a fund to build this dam. It started in 2011, but long before that, you know what the government did? it started to sell bonds, and we bought bonds. Everyone has a share, a stake in this dam. And it did not start with the government that was in 2011. It started during Emperor, when Ethiopia was in dynasty, ruled by dynasties. That's how it started. And then Emperor Haile Selassie, they did not want it because the Americans or the British wanted to build and own it, and the government did not want. And you know what the last dynasty said? Emperor Haile Selassie, he said, I would rather prefer my people to be poor. When they have money, the next generation, he said, I don't know when, but the Ethiopians themselves will build this dam. And guess what? We did it in 2011. He might have said this in the 1950s or something, but we did it. And that's why every Ethiopian, no matter how much against the government they are or we are, but this dam is ours. And I want Tanzanians to feel like that. I want any other African countries to feel like that. We should own national projects. We should get a stake. Even the government has to sell bonds to the people so that they can be owners, it really makes me emotional talking about this. So well done for President Samia Suluhu. I hope you really give a credit whoever started and planned and executed this. Although the completion happens in your administration time, the credit should not go only to you. It should go also to the foremost. That way you are setting a big example for the nation. But finally, I would like to close it by saying congratulations, Tanzania. We are really happy for you. So next, we will still stay in Tanzania. And the next news is that Adani Group, the Indian Gautam Adani, the Indian business mogul, is still has got a shelter in Tanzania, although he was kicked out of Kenya after the United States has charged him for more than $265 million fraud, bribery fraud that happened in India. It did not happen in the US. The man has business all over the world, in all the continents, in Australia, all over. And this man is there's a lot of criticism against him. I have reported when I followed the Kenyan Jomo Kenyatta International Airport when President William Ruto leased it. Gave the contract to Adani for 30 years. Imagine, do you know what that means? And which will benefit. We have done this in detail about this contract, and there were an ongoing protests from the airport workers, and we have advocated for William Ruto to cancel this. The Human Rights Commission of Kenya also has taken it to the High Court in Kenya. Anyway, all that times, even bringing the alarming things of Adani Group, William Ruto did not listen. But now, a few days ago, when the United States issued that came up with that headline that Adani Group with $265 million bribery fraud, then within hours, literally within hours, it was cancelled. William Ruto came out and spoke before the House of Representatives, their parliament, and said, oh, we have cancelled this. When there is evidence, then we act. No, what about when your people give you an evidence? You don't listen? That you are actually, William Ruto is barking where he's eating, where to his lords, to his, I don't know what to call them. Those are his bosses in the US. Now, this Indian man, that's not to say that the Indian man is, now this Indian business mogul is accused of a lot of things. He actually, there was a series of research that was done by Australians. I have also presented that last time. Despite that, look, now Kenya has cancelled it, and Adani Group came up and said, "Oh no, it doesn't impact us." He said there was the final contract was not signed, but at the same time, Tanzania, Samia Suluhu of Tanzania, has also contracted the port of Tanzania to Adani Group for 30 years. But even after this headline came, Samia Suluhu did not cancel it. Actually, they're going to keep this man. Let me share this with you, okay? Where are you, Samia Suluhu? Okay. So this is it. This is Adani himself, Gautam Adani, and this is Samia Suluhu, president of Tanzania. Okay, so Samia Suluhu greets Hassan Suluhu, greets Adani Group chairman Gautam Adani as a state house. So that was the picture where it's taken. So, but this is the article. Tanzania plans to honor its contracts with an Adani Group unit despite a U.S. indictment of its billionaire chairman Gautam Adani on accusations of bribery and fraud. A senior official at the port's authority said, well, Adani was indicted for fraud last week, and arrest warrants were issued for him and his nephew for their alleged roles in a $265 million scheme to bribe Indian officials to secure power supply deals. Adani Group has denied the accusations. In May, Tanzania entered into a 30-year concession agreement with Adani Ports, a unit of Adani Group, to operate a container terminal in Dar es Salaam port. Okay, this is the port is in the capital. That was so. It was in May that they entered in into contract. So it's called the Terminal 2. Look at the headlines. East Africa, Swiss frees 310 million linked to Adani as fraud claims resurface. You see? And also in Australia that happened. And why the heck is Tanzania keeping this man? Let's continue with the article. Anyway, Adani Ports also struck a share purchase agreement for a 95% stake in a state-owned Tanzania International Container Terminal Services for 95 million. That's not a money. What is 95 million for a state-owned company, really? What is that? What is Samia Suluhu doing? Why you give 90? That's like private ownership. So what? The 5% is owned by the government and you just sell 95? Why? Well, you know, here is the thing, quote the Tanzanian officials, I think, we don't have any problems with anyone. Everything we are doing is according to our laws and agreements. Tanzania Ports Authority Director General Plus Deus Mboso told, this is what he told Reuters when he was asked. Also said, for contractors we don't have such claims of wrongdoing. If there are other people who are taking actions, then they are doing so according to their reason. So he said, he's saying, in other words, we don't care. So he's saying, in other words, that what happened with other countries will never happen to Tanzania. I mean, what is your risk? What's your guarantee? You know, banks, as you saw, Swiss Bank and others, you know, when the West Act, it's a united front act. So when they seize his money, what is going to happen to Tanzania? I mean, this is a complete ignorance, or just he's saying this for media consumption. He knows really what this means, that for him, that for Adani himself to be indicted of $265 million fraud, and you are selling him your national port terminal, container terminal to this man. He also cancelled a proposal to add a second runway at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. And yeah, this is the one that William Ruto has scrapped the deal. So yeah, I mean, my reflection on this is, why do you keep, first of all, I am not an advocate for state-owned companies to be privatized. I don't like privatization. I want state-owned business companies to continue as profitable as they are. If they are not, then the government has to do something. Then if really there's a problem, then they have to try to sell a bond to the people, make your people rich, make your people owner of this kind of companies, national companies. If you need, if you need the finance, if that is the case, to run the business. I am not really, because there's no successful country by selling companies to state-owned companies to private ones, because I mean the system itself needs to be fixed. We don't have that system. Yeah, you might say everything we copy is from the West. The West is this, the West. I mean, the West is on a different level. And even that, the power, do not think that, the people, the ordinary people really like that to be robbed by private business companies. No, they don't. But anyway, the government needs this kind of corporation. Just to give you a bit of extra information on this one, the Gautam Adani is, he's like the right hand of Prime Minister Modi of India. And in fact, they call him, this is what the Indian journalists call Adani. They gave him a nickname, the non-biological brother of Modi. That's what they call him, because Modi kind of really gives, he's like deaf when it comes to Adani. He in fact dismisses it, saying these are lies and abuse against Adani. So that's how, these countries are protecting their business people, because they need that corporation, the amount of investments that Adani has in India. So yeah, Modi just will continue to give deaf ear, and they don't do nothing. And well, now US coming up with this, you can also look at it from a different angle. You're allowed, because US, whenever the United States wants to attack and private companies start to take over, look at how it is fighting China for those electric vehicles taking over in the United States and in Europe. They're fighting China, in the name of protectionism, which is against their liberal market and against all the agreements that they have. They are avoiding and adding additional tariff on Chinese cars. That's what they're doing. So they don't like it when these business people become bigger than their own. That's the thing. So it could be also a way of the United States fighting it. Yes, the man has really an extensive record on fraud and bribery, but maybe the United States knew this all along, and maybe now there's a bit of a fraction between US and India, and the US just want to, okay, you know what, we are going to expose this man, and the whole world will follow us, and we will make him lose business in other countries. So they don't like it when these Eastern people from the East come and take over, because he has already business in the United States, and he's planning to do more, like accounting at $10 billion or whatever in billions, because he tweeted on X platform, or formerly Twitter, when Trump the president-elect Trump won, congratulating him and announcing also how many billions of dollars that he plans to invest in energy sector, this and that. So maybe that is the case. Maybe because he welcomed Trump, because now Trump officially is going to take over power in January, right? So the Democrat is just trying to shoot the last bullet it has against this man, because this man is now aligning itself with Trump, and this man means Adani is equal to Modi. Then Modi is aligning, in other words, aligning with Trump, and Modi was like, how do you say, the favored boy from the Eastern powers, like as opposed to Russia and China. India was the one welcomed. All these countries, imagine India, Russia, and China, they are all founders of BRICS. And India, because of its proximity with the United States, and in fact, we were even when we were analyzing BRICS, we said India is playing a double standard, because India was the one who said, no, we should not stop using US dollars, as much as the other founders like China, particularly Russia, South Africa, and Brazil wanted to stop dollar and use a replacement, and India was fighting it. So India has that kind of place in the US or in the G7 or in G20, whatever. It's part of G20, I think, in G7 as well. Meaning in G7, like welcome the favored one, but G20, it is part of G20. Because he congratulated Trump, and that means that is also the words of Modi in politics. That's how you analyze things, and then they say, okay, then let's bring it to the daylight what we know. That's also the move that the United States has taken. But that's not to say Adani did not commit any fraud and bribery. That man is known. All his history shows that. But regardless, he manages to get business. Look at what Samia Suluhu is doing, keeping his contract of selling the port to him. That's really disappointing, to say the least. Anyway, fam, thank you very much for tuning in. That was it with regards to an update that we had from the continent, but there is a lot of things that's happening. I just selected some to bring to you. Next, in an hour time, we have in an hour and 20 minutes. That's like 9:20 Central European time. We have, or 8 p.m. GMT, Ghana time as well. We have a wonderful program with Kwame. Tune in. It's a live streaming. We are going to analyze in a very detailed manner of the Lobito corridor that is, that's from Angola, from DRC, Zambia to Angola. Now Tanzania is also becoming part of it. So we're going to reveal a lot of things about that. We have done, so many programs about it, but this one will be a good one. So don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you are notified when we are live and when we upload videos as well. Give it a like if you find it what I brought you now or what I presented is informative enough to you, and share the video with others. Do not keep information and knowledge only to yourself. Please go ahead and support us through our PayPal account. That will mean a lot for us to be a full-time worker here at Connect Africa, because a lot is happening. We are missing a lot, that definitely will help us. Thank you, and thank you those of you who were here. I'll just give a quick shout out. SGM, Child of God, who else? Reparation Nation, greetings. Okay. Any question? Tanzania is led by a WF puppet after the passing. Yeah, no one is going to jail for looting the people of Nigeria. Exactly. I mean, because Bola Tinubu himself is a looter, and he's an agent of CIA. So, I mean, it's not me. Don't take me for the CIA said this. He said Bola Tinubu. CIA said Bola Tinubu is an asset. Is Nigerian oil nationalized or it is nationalized, but there are private retailers. I mean, there's a how do you say institution called the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC. Google it, you'll find it. Power license, the ability to defend your interests. Idi Amin warned you Indiana trying to colonize again. How many resources will sneak through the Indian port to India? Guess what? And then there is this Lobito corridor now getting connected, to the US wants it, the US and European Union wants it to connect this Lobito corridor to Tanzania now. So everything, like, nothing, if you really follow what's happening in the world, it's like a puzzle. You just you can put it like this. You see it making sense, like 1 + 1 2, 2 + 2 4. It just makes sense what's happening. You just have to follow. Yeah. Wow. Okay, I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.